of you, my friends. It's very difficult to handle a subject like this after a person of stature of Mr. Surinder Singh Kandari has spoken. What a range of data. You virtually had every detail about the global tire market, and it is always a great pleasure to see him and speak in this forum because he is a man who represents the tire. Every bit of him is tire, the passion for tire. So I am very happy every time, like the father and the son, I get an opportunity to talk to him, talk to this topic after he has spoken. And I am very sure that I will not have so much of statistics for you, but I am going to give you a picture on OTR tires, the challenges, the opportunities, because that's the big word. Everybody today wants to get into OTR because the on-the-road tires, which is approximately a $220 billion market, 64% of it is dominated by the car and truck manufacturers, truck tires. So the balance, if you take the 35, almost 15% is occupied by the OTR industry, and it is one of the major challenging industry today. So how many of you really know what is a OTR tire? Can anybody tell me what do you mean by a OTR tire? You call it off-the-road tire. Can anybody tell me what you feel as the OTR tire? What are the applications of an OTR tire? Can somebody tell me? Please stand up and tell me, because I know you are all big people in the tire industry. Okay, I will take you through that, don't worry. Now basically if you take the off-the-road tire industry, basically you take the tire industry, it is passenger car, commercial vehicles, agriculture, cycle and motorcycle, earth moving and industrial equipment. People think that agriculture, forestry, everything is part of OTR. But OTR basically is earth moving equipment and industrial equipment. And the Emerald Tires, for which I am the CEO and we are operating from India, is one of the major players in this market. In the industrial tire segment, we have the 7th largest capacity in the world, and we export to more than 120 countries around the world, including all the countries Mr. Surinder Singh Kandari told. Now basically in the OTR tire segment, if you see, tires are used in the equipment meant for surface mining, that is quarries, construction, underground mining, industrial, port and the ground support. If you really take the earth moving and industrial equipment, the basic equipments on which they are used are rigid dump trucks, articulated dump trucks, loaders, graders, scrappers, cranes and compactors. Industrial, of course, you know, it's lift trucks and the skid steers. If you really see the OTR tire codes, the T&RA of America, they say E means earth mover, G means grader, L means loader, C means compactor, IND means industrial. Now you also find normally many people say it's the L5, G3, all of them refer to the code of the equipment as well as the type of tread they use. So when you say an L5, you are talking about a loader tire with an extra deep tread. So this is something very exciting, and there are very, very clear codes given by T&RA as well as ETRTO how to define these codes, and that's how the tire industry normally uses this nomenclature. And of course, you are all aware that the challenge of the industry is so high, that the cost of tire is so high, the conditions in which they operate are so challenging that people are largely moving from bias to radial. The radial tire provides a better footprint, and the tread is independent of the sidewall and the bead, which gives the tire better stability and better operation, whereas the bias, the load gets transferred from the bead to the sidewall to the base, so less footprint. So there is a great challenge for the industry to move from the bias to the radial market. And of course, what are the application characteristics of OTR tires? They move over very, very exciting surface conditions. If you know a car tire or a truck tire, you know it's going to go on the road where the roads are better maintained and they are meant for fast riding. Whereas a OTR is like somebody who is going for a mountain expedition. He never knows what is the terrain, but he has to make the tire perform in that. And that is where a OTR tire manufacturer has to be congratulated, because he is treading in an unknown area. You will find the mud, gravel, soft, rocky, coal, log strewn. So the terrains can be extended to infinity. What you need is that you need to have, the tire needs to have a good abrasion resistance, and it should be wear and cut resistant. Then it should be able to sustain the heat, or it should be able to ensure that there is no more heat build up in the tire. And they are round the clock operation. And you find in certain OTR tires within a very small area, they move back and forth so many times, 24 hours. There is continuous braking. So the tires have to withstand such high braking and move forward. Traction, and then gradable. Many of the times they have to move up the grade. So the tires will have to have extra grip to move up the grade. And then it should have stability. They should be self-cleaning. We have marked that. All that you can think of is inside the tire. The tire should be self-cleaning. It should float, because when you move on a muddy surface, the tire must be able to float and move forward. It should carry, of course, very high load, because each of these tires are meant for very, very heavy load application. The low rolling resistance, less tire wear, less heat buildup, less fuel consumption. Now, to perform in every work environment, even when they are pushed to the limit. So that's why you find this market highly dominated by legacy brands. As Mr. Kandari said, there are some applications where these legacy brands have done extensive research, and they are able to provide some of the best tires that are required for this application. Now, to take maximum inflation pressure, you know the load carrying capacity increases as the inflation increases. So the tire must be able to take maximum inflation pressure to endure high load, to generate less heat, ensure dissipation in the long haul, high speed application. There are mines in Africa and in Mexico where 200 miles it has to come out to dump the material. That is the haul in which it has to operate. So it has to be able to have so much of resistance to heat and speed to meet the abnormal unexplored application requirements. Today, if you take Caterpillar, or for the matter Komatsu, the way they make a vehicle, they immediately go to the tire maker and give them all data about the vehicle and design tires. I was told by the BKT chairman that they develop about 160 different patterns of tires for this industry every year. When I'm talking about the BKT's development, you can understand how much of money that people like Michelin, Bridgestone should be investing on these tires. So it's a highly investment-oriented industry, highly challenging, with the new vehicle manufacturers and the tire operators have to marry each other and start working to meet the abnormal unexplored application requirements, to support the meeting the work deadlines. Every mine has a deadline. You have to complete it, otherwise the cost escalation goes up. So the vehicle and the tire will have to be working in such a good fashion that they must be able to complete the work within the deadlines. In short, efficiency, durability, reliability, safety and profitability is the buzzword. Now, what do you expect in a tire? You want it to have reduced tire wear. It should be puncture resistant, cut resistant. It's operating in mining conditions and in a construction activity, high load carrying capacity, reduced operating cost, reduced maintenance cost, reduced downtime, increased fuel efficiency. So the demand drivers, if you take car tire industry or a truck tire industry, it is again driven by the economy. Similarly, if you take the OTR, it's driven by the growth of economy, the growth of industrial development, the mining and infrastructure growth. These are the four major determinants that drive the growth of the OTR industry. And then if you take the product customization, every time they need to be very well aware of the size which can carry that the tread design has to be different under different conditions. It has got to be block or rib, or it has got to be smooth. You have to decide. Then the compound, you know very well you are treading in an unknown area, so you need to know. We always say when we sell an industrial tire, we never sell off the shelf. We always go to the customer and ask, where do you operate it? And once we know the operation, we can develop a compound and give it to him. Such is the nature of these OTR tire challenges, that it needs to have compound in mind. Construction, the tire constructions, as I explained to you, between the bias and the radial, there needs to be a lot of research to be done to ensure that the tire has the stability and has the life to give that. So that is why radialization is becoming pretty popular. Today, if you talk to any OTR tire manufacturer, if he's manufacturing bias tires, Probably he may sell in some countries, but unless you are radial, you can never think of the growing markets like Europe, US and other advanced countries. Even the BRIC countries are completely changing to radialization today. And again, the stability is forcing them to go to the low aspect ratio tires today. And then retreading, as that's one of the pet subjects today, and that's one of the most challenging things today. In the OTR tire industry, retreading is again becoming a major challenge. Retreaders around the world are thinking how to bring down the cost. You are all aware, when you retread a tire, the cost comes down by almost about 40% to 60% down, and it is able to almost give a life equal to that. Manufacturers like Bandag, operators like Bandag have been able to give tires which equal the tire mileage of the original tire, which shows to prove the OTR has a tremendous potential. Of course, a challenge as well, because every tire is different and you need to have different molds and capacities to build the tires. And then you need to work towards performance optimization. As I have already told you, you need to match all these parameters. Service demands, you need to train the people how to manage the fleet. You have to have inventory control. A tire will cost probably about $100,000 a tire, and you need to maintain that. It's a big cost. So inventory control becomes very important. Traceability, how if there's a problem, how to track it. Then tracking the life cycle of the tire. This becomes very challenging. And then coming to the pet subject. Earlier only the legacy brands were being purchased. Today you have the tier 2 level, which is being spoken by Mr. Kandari always, that you have the Chinese and the Indian and the East European people coming with large production capacity for these types of tires. Notably, manufacturers like BKT, Tech King, they are all coming in the second level suppliers, where even the people who are using legacy brands, they feel that they can buy this tire, but they are as good. There is no bad tire, it's a good tire, and they can use it. Only thing is, the life may be slightly lower, but they are able to meet the challenges. The competence is being raised from the second level suppliers today, making good tires, because spending $1 billion on a factory, they would never produce a bad tire. They are able to access latest technology. At the same time, they are able to keep the cost down. This is posing a very major challenge and an opportunity. Then, option of customers pricing on supply backup. Yes, earlier you need to wait for a Michelin to supply for 3 months. Today, a tier 2 level supplier can supply off the shelf. That's the advantage. And plants are located in strategic points where the minings are located. And then instant product performance is capable of being assessed, and also meeting deliveries is possible. Value addition. Now today, tire management system and tire pressure management system have become a huge subject. I understand that in places like in Africa, where they are able to monitor a tire through a tire management system, where they are able to monitor the pressure, the heat buildup, the number of hours they have operated, and what is the criticality which is affecting the tire, including the life of the tire, when is the next maintenance cycle involved in the tire, like inflation. All those things are monitored by tire management system. This is a very, very big industry in the OTR segment, and people like ENA Icon, who have done, Tom Bradley has invested a lot of money in tire management system, and that's becoming a very, very important product support in getting the full life cycle. So tire monitoring systems monitor the pressure, temperature, speed, distance coverage, operation cycle, loading pattern, and the remote control they are able to operate. Today, a OTR tire can weigh up to 16,000 pounds and can be 13 feet high. Imagine what is the challenge involved in making this tire. One tire can really make or mar a company. That's the size of that. And environment concerns. Today, tire production process have to be highly green. Scrap disposal of these OTRs are becoming a major challenge. And then, the total demand drivers are global economy, mining industry, and construction and infrastructure industry. This is some statistics that I want you to remember. The global potential for tires is about 3.3 billion, and it is expected to grow at 4.7. In value terms, it is $220 billion and expected to grow at 6.5%. OTR potential itself is $10 billion and expected to grow at 5%. giving a growth of economy, you find probably the environment and the political cycle in India is changing. Probably India is expected to grow as per the earlier statistics from 5.3 to 5.7, but people expect to grow up to 7.5 by the end of the year, thanks to a new government which is more proactive to the requirement of the industry. And then EU, very interesting to see, it's growing. Brazil is growing. China, even though small dip is there, is maintaining 7.5% growth. Japan, of course, there's a drop. Mexico is growing. Russia is growing. South Africa is growing. USA is also growing. So, a good news is that the economy is growing and the infrastructure industry is going to take a major place. So, we have more tires to sell. Some of the places where the mines are located, we thought of taking a map and showing to you the metals and the places, because this is one area where this industry has got more potential. Then what are the concerns? Government regulations. Now, coal as a fuel is a fossil fuel. So people are trying to switch over to cleaner fuels like gas, which is one thing. So drop in coal price. Then gold price dipped over the last 1 year period. Now I understand in Mexico, where they have levied a tax on the extraction of precious metals, and people expect the mining industry to have a serious impact because of that. Again, in Indonesia, you find the process laws changing, so coal extraction may get affected, but there are very many mines in India, Africa and other places where the growth is likely to happen. So accelerated growth in BRIC countries is a positive trend. The global economy is likely to push the demand for metals and energy to new heights and to grow at a good rate. Good news for all of us that the construction industry is going to grow by 70% by the year 2025. So more and more of construction is going to happen. In value terms, it is 15 trillion. Global construction to grow faster than the global economy growth. Infrastructure market is going to grow. A country like India in the next 5 years are planning to invest something close to their budget in infrastructure. That was what the finance minister was communicating in an interview last week. So that way, infrastructure is going to make a major growth in the BRIC countries. Every BRIC economy is shaking up to grow. And then housing is another very big potential which is going to drive the construction activities, global sports activities. Every Middle East country today and every Asian and European and American country is thinking of hosting sports. The recently concluded IPL, even though it's a small program, it has given such a major boost to the Gulf economy because people start coming and seeing. So that's going to drive the need for the requirements of the people. So in all, the market is going to have exciting times, and all tire people have to remain very positive, because without a tire, nothing in this world can move. So we should congratulate ourselves that we are in the right industry, and I wish you all good luck to have a very interesting session in the Auto Mechanica Academy. And I thank particularly our speaker, the computer, for conducting this program so well. It has been always exciting to come here because we learn new things. He motivates us to learn new things and share it with such an elite audience like you. Thank you very much.
As I was